To sync this podcast to the episode, pause now and hit play right after the previously on. Hey everybody, it's Matt Roberts, executive producer here on Outlander, and I'm here with a very special guest for episode 5, Savages. I'm here with the director of the episode, Denise Denovi.
Hello everybody, I'm very happy to be here.
This is great. You know, this is the first time we've ever had a director on the podcast, so
Wow.
I'm very excited too.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Denise, actually, you directed both 5 and 6. You did the block.
I did, yes. Very lucky to do 2 incredible episodes of my favorite show.
There you go. So both a fan and a director.
I am a longtime fan, going back to the books, which I've read twice, and was an instant fan of the show, and just could not wait to be involved.
So did you? When I came into it, we did a Skype interview. Do you remember? Did you have your agent call, or how did you lobby for the job?
I did. I had been lobbying for quite a while, and I was told it was a very difficult job to get, and very difficult for American directors to get over there and do the job. And so I had a realistic assessment of the potential of it, but it was a dream that I had, and I just didn't let go of it. I kept bugging my manager to keep calling and keep calling. I think he kind of harassed you, Matt, a little bit. And I was very nervous on the first Skype in the meeting, but I hoped that my passion for the show came through.
Well, it was funny because after the Skype, as soon as we hung up, I stood up and I said, "We're hiring her," and I walked out of the office, and that was it. So
I wish I'd heard that.
Yeah, it was funny. You come over to Scotland. You kind of join the family almost immediately. You walked right in. It was like you've been there 1,000 years, and I think that's because you knew the stories so well.
I know the characters inside out. Yeah. Claire is a very inspiring woman to me, and an inspiring character, and very beloved person in my mind. I just so admire how she lives, what she's accomplished, how she expresses herself, her strength. And the romance between Claire and Jamie is so beautiful and so honest and so real in a way, even though it's completely fantastic in many ways. It's something that that we can all relate to and feel deeply. So I feel like I know these people. I love the stories. I love the storyline. And to be able to live and inhabit that world for a few months was, such a gift. It was really a blessing.
Well, after a few days of prep, I remember, what I say is, I can take my hands off the wheel of this, just because I knew these episodes were in such good hands with you that I knew you would care for them like I would care for them.
Oh,
and,
thank you.
So it's really important when you can get people on the show like that. So it was just terrific for us to have you there. We don't film in order. We film out of order. So you're all over the place when you're filming. Is there this is Fraser's Ridge. Did you what do you think about this location? Did you love it? I know you and Allie had names for the
roads.
The roads.
It was such a beautiful setting, and there was one road in and one road out, and I liked the view from one road, and our DP cinematographer Allie liked the other one, so we named them after each other and kind of argued about it in good fun.
Was it Allie Lane and Denise Road?
Denovi Drive and
yes.
Allie Lane, yes. But to me, this is such a special location because it's really the first true home that Claire and Jamie have together. It's their first kind of domestic life, and this, first scene was very important to me because, you kind of see them in a way we haven't seen them before, where, she's the lady of the house, he's the man of the house, and they kind of have this sweet little routine in the kitchen, and they're, it's their home.
And it was a little playful, which I
Yes,
like.
yeah. I
and
really wanted it to feel like two people comfortable in their home together, and we hadn't seen that before.
No, and it was really nice the way it was blocked, and you feel like they've been living this life for a little while, because we
Right.
needed to jump a little bit of time.
Yes,
So
this is their life now.
Yeah.
Their domestic bliss, which is very difficult and hard, but and Claire in particular loves her home. Just the care that everyone put into the set decoration, the making it a home, I just was so thrilled to see it.
Yeah, our the art department, the greens department, which falls under the art department, that take care of the outside. It's almost like your wish is their command. You want something, and they bend over backwards to get it.
It's an amazing group, and for me, I come from feature films for many years, producing and directing in the feature world, where you have people say, you have more time or more attention to detail because you have more time, and Outlander was an amazing show for me because every episode is like a great movie, and everyone, Matt, and everybody approaches each show as it could be an Academy Award winning movie. The level of detail, precision, art, dedication is so intense, far more than any other show that I've been involved with, and it felt very familiar to me and very comfortable.
Yeah, that we like to say we like make mini movies here on Outlander. We try to equip you guys with everything that you want. The directors, of course, every director wants every shot and every new tool to tell their story. And what's great is when you can the time limit you're working with, and you go, okay, how do I make this the best show I can? And we try to work together to bring that to the...
Yes, it's a collaboration. I think, being a producer myself, I understand sometimes the constraints, actually can create magic.
Yes.
Sometimes something great comes out of those constraints, and you have to embrace them and be as positive as you can about them.
Well, I think that's what really does elevate, a good director to a great director, is someone where you go, you can't have this and you can't have that, and then they make magic.
Right.
Yeah.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
This has always been one of my favorite locations, excuse me, that we go to is Falklands.
Oh,
It's,
I was so
Inverness.
thrilled to be there. I barely slept the night before because I thought, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be at that
Where it all started.
statue and the fountain where it all started, where Jamie stood and looking up at Claire in the window. And...
Now, I know our fans have the question of, where did the hat come from? Because I know in the original concepts, I never saw a hat on him.
Yeah.
Was it because I know it was freezing that day.
It wasn't just because it was freezing and he was happy to wear it, but I think because the next time we soon see Roger going back in time, where his hair is he was smart enough to have his hair be authentic to the period.
So he was growing it. That's right.
He was growing it
growing
out,
it out.
so we
and
had to cover it up
Yes.
with a hat. Yeah.
Look at that. The secrets that get revealed
Yeah.
here on the podcast. I remember that we had a big deal because we film out of order on these shows, and sometimes you're filming an episode or a scene from an episode in 6 or 7 or later,
Right.
and a character has to have a completely different look.
Right.
So
That's what happened with
yeah.
Roger.
And
yeah.
but I do remember you filmed a few things on this day, and it was really brutally cold.
It was really cold.
You suffered probably more than anybody through what we call all 4 seasons in one day.
Yes, I learned what that means. 4 seasons in one day. You start with sun, you get some pelting rain, and then you'll get golf ball size hail.
Hail, yes.
And then you'll get snow and ice and sleet on your drive home.
Yeah. And then you do it all again tomorrow.
And then you do it all again.
Now,
And you get mud, as we see here in Wilmington.
yeah, unfortunately, that's Gary Steele mud. He brought that in.
It's very
for us.
expensive mud.
Very expensive mud. At least we trimmed some of it back by episode 5, so it wasn't as sticky
Yes,
as episode
it was not
1.
as thick.
Yeah. Now we're actually posting this a little late. This episode's already aired, but our fans always see these episodes after, or they hear the podcast after we air. I know we had a lot of discussions about this particular scene in what we call tone meetings. We have meetings throughout the prep talking about how we want the scene to feel, what we want to
Right.
be like, and I know I wanted her to not be so aggressive,
Right,
and
right.
I know that.
Not over the top.
Yeah, I think that was the big
Yeah,
deal.
we wanted to have a little bit of fun with it because, Jamie is definitely the best looking guy she's seen in a long time in early Wilmington. But so we wanted to have a little bit of fun, but not go too over the top with her because it wouldn't be true to the period either.
Yeah, I think that was my big my
and
big
you're
argument.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the Mueller cabin, which you guys we had a few locations picked out, and thankfully, bless your heart, picked out one fairly close to the studio.
Right. Yes. Yeah. But the great thing about where Outlander shot is, very close to the studio, very close to civilization.
Yeah.
There's just spectacular scenery.
Yeah.
Woods and streams and just such beautiful places to shoot. It was just every day is just glorious to be in these places.
And it's a scene where we spent quite a bit of time on the German. The
Yes,
language.
And I have to commend you, Matt, for keeping the bar very high in terms of the truthfulness of the history, the period, whether it's the first Americans and how they spoke, their costumes, the Germans, to really be dedicated to having things be accurate. I think it makes such a difference, and people, even if they don't know it specifically, they can feel that it's truthful.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that we, for me especially, is when you watch a period show, you want it to feel period. You want it to feel like you're escaping
It's part
our
of the fun
world,
of it.
going into that world.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, no, people can rest assured that Outlander is, there are no mistakes in terms of period authenticity.
yeah. We definitely try. We try our hardest.
This scene with, kind of setting up the storyline, that continues in 6 and onward of the struggle, that these settlers had in figuring out, how to have land ownership, how to fight unfair taxation. You kind of see the seeds set, for what comes with the revolution. And I found that so interesting. I did not know a lot of, this kind of prehistory of the revolution of these early settlers and, what they went through and how it all began. So, I really enjoyed telling that part of the story.
Yeah, I think we, most of us when we read, first in the books, but then we dove into to the history books of it, is that the regulators, this unfair taxation started so much earlier in a way that we didn't really. It's not
Right.
studied widely here.
No,
this part of because it's technically British history. It's not really American history
Right.
until
It wasn't America yet, really. Yeah.
right. So we get these are the early colonies, and it kind of falls into more the British history of it. So it's not until really the shot heard around the world until it starts becoming American history.
That's where we usually pick it up.
Yeah, yeah.
And also to see these are immigrants, right? These are,
Yeah.
people who have come to the new land for a better life, and there were so many things that resonated with what is going on now, with what made me think of my grandparents who immigrated from Italy to have a better life, or just how it's so woven into the fabric of our country from, as you say, before we were even America.
Yeah.
It was a land of immigrants.
Yeah. This was the scene where Jamie meets someone that he fought with at Culloden. He didn't know him, but there's a bond, there's a relationship, and this is the guy who's really telling him about this regulator movement, this unfair taxation of learning about the governor who Jamie has a deal with, and we're kind of building. Essentially, when Jamie signs this deed, it wasn't as easy as just here's your land, and
Right.
now it starts unfolding.
It's the tension is heightening for Jamie.
I will say that Rolo is the cleanest dog I've ever seen in my life. Drives me crazy. Those of us who have dogs know that dogs do get
He's
dirty
the
when there's mud
cleanest
around.
and the friendliest. It was very hard to get him to ever bark at anybody.
Yes.
The world's sweetest dog.
Yes. We did learn that about Rolo.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't know if anybody caught a glimpse of the white sow, but the white sow is in the pig pen over there. So
That was fun to meet the white sow. They're cuter in person than I thought they'd be.
yeah, we always talk about, there's certain scenes from the book that you talk about doing, and I know we talked about doing the scene with the pig in the pantry and all that stuff, but you realize, oh, we're gonna put an untrained.
Yes.
Because there's just
They're not house trained.
They're not house
Now,
trained.
living in where your food is,
Yeah.
in the pantry.
But also with our actors, and you don't
Yeah.
know how an animal that's not trained will respond. So the responsibility to both the care for the animal safety and the actors and the crew. So a lot of times it's to our discretion. Just don't do it, because
Yes,
it's
I mean,
just the
there
risk.
are things you can do in a book that you cannot do in a show
Yeah.
or in a movie.
I love the baby. I mean, the
Yes.
baby just killed these scenes.
We got lucky with the baby.
Yeah.
You never know with babies what's going to happen.
It's the truth. You can get one
Yeah.
scene where the baby cries every second, and
Yep.
then an
This
angel.
one we got very lucky, and our lovely actress was very good, and Claire was good. We called Katrina the baby whisperer because in between setups, she would walk around and rock the baby, and she did a beautiful job. She was very calming to the baby.
Katrina's very good around animals too. The horses. She used to pet all the horses and feed them,
Yeah.
and then she would move across the scene in in the block, and the horses would follow her, and we'd go cut.
They would all,
Quit petting the horses.
yeah, she has a very nice vibration.
Actually, I was down on set this day. I remember.
Right.
We were just off to the side there in a little tent.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
This scene was very important. All the scenes with the First Americans were very important for me and I relied on you a lot for this, Matt, to keep them authentic to, how they would behave and approach things and speak and relate to each other and to the other characters. I really wanted to get it right, and it started with the actors were so impressed with the costumes because it takes a lot of time and labor and very specific items that you'll see in the necklaces and how the costumes are sewn and embroidered.
And the beating
It's just incredible. Nobody gives that level of detail to these costumes, and you guys did. So
and I think that's what when we presented these costumes, they were so taken aback at the detail.
Yes.
But also even there's scenes with the weapons that we I had Jim Elliott, our armorer, paint the muskets, because the trade muskets that the British would trade were sometimes blue and sometimes red.
I remember that. I did not know that.
And it was, I saw them in the actual the Cherokee Museum, and I was like, we're going to do that. And Jim said, absolutely. So you want to take it to that next level that you never see, and that's what we wanted to do.
Yes.
And even this blessing that when I was in North Carolina, I actually witnessed this being done, and I said, we got to incorporate this into the story like this.
Well, the fact that you went there and spent time with them and learned all that you did and really developed that relationship, I think is really admirable. It's it made a big difference to everyone, I think.
And even with the German speakers, I think it was so important that we spent so much time just getting that German right.
Yes.
And because we air in Germany, there's and it's important.
And having actors come from Germany, I was thrilled about that. Another show might have said, "Oh, we'll just get Scottish or English actors because they're closer, and have them do a German accent."
Yeah.
But we got very prominent, wonderful actors from Germany.
Yeah. Once again, it's. I'm all about the small things, because if you do all the small things right, it adds up to big things.
It's cumulative, 100%. Yeah, I love this moment for Claire. You just see, when she falls on the bed.
Yeah, I love this shot. That was a great shot.
We've all kind of had that moment, and you really see that she works incredibly hard. She gives so much to people.
Yeah, that was one of it. Literally, there's such a, once again, small shot, but it was one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Yeah,
and
Katrina liked it too.
Yeah, look at the lighting. I love the light. You guys killed it. It's the light in Scotland is different than a lot of places. And I said to Allie early on in the season, I said I wanted the light to have a different quality this year. I don't want it to feel exactly, like we're filming in Scotland. I want it to feel like we're in North Carolina.
Right, yeah.
So he gave it a whole new look.
He did, yeah.
He changed the lighting.
Yeah. He is, Alistair Walker is I've worked with many, many cinematographers over the years, and he is one of the greatest, and so talented, gifted, and a pleasure to work with, and a good, big, strong, tall Scotsman.
He is. He's a lovely man. Once again, I think what was important in this episode is to show that this is her home.
Yes.
And this is Jamie's home, and where they live day to day, and all the little things that you have to do.
It's comfortable and beautiful and cozy and simple, and she's really made it a comfortable home.
And but also how that, because she's the woman at a time. This is Jamie's used to this. Jamie's been a farmer. He's lived in Lollybrook. He knows all this, like the back of his hand. And she's coming from a place where just, a year ago, she's working in a big Boston hospital.
Sometimes I think that when I watch the show, I think, does she ever say to herself, God, I just wish I had a refrigerator. I just wish I had a fan when it's hot. You wonder what went through her mind. But, there's such a beauty to their life. Yeah. Really.
I think with all the technology and all the things that you can accumulate now, and you look back at moments like that and you go, well, do we need everything we have to be happy? And
you realize you don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, one of the biggest things that happened in episode 5 here is we talked endlessly about how this moment should feel. This the moment of reintroducing this particular character.
Oh boy, did I feel a lot of weight on my shoulders to get that right.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I think we're a beat ahead. We're a little ahead.
Yeah. Well, this is
why, because we talked about this endlessly.
Yes, of how we get him there, and
we get young Ian.
Yep.
You got to find a blacksmith.
Of course, young Ian doesn't know who he's talking to, right?
No.
And I think it's so well written. The script is so good in that we get it two times, right? We
Yeah.
get the audience gets to see
Yeah.
first that it's Murtagh. So we have the fun here of him turning and we see it's Murtagh. Then later we have the fun of
Yeah.
Jamie seeing it's Murtagh. And then later we have the fun of Claire seeing it's Murtagh. So, and so I really felt like I wanted to have each moment be very different from the other and give the audience a treat kind of in a different way.
Yeah.
So, here,
This one's for the audience.
this one's for the audience.
Yeah.
And, maybe they recognize his voice. Maybe they don't. If they do, are they going to say like, wait, is that him? But, and then here we did, I made that turn in about 20, not 20 takes, maybe 5 takes.
Yeah.
Felt like 20.
I would
but
have had a heart attack if I saw 20
I
on the
would never
board.
do 20. But I really wanted the timing of that turn to be perfect.
Yeah. And in that style of you don't, the voice is all you need, then you don't show them until the turn. It was really, it was well done.
And Duncan was so great about it in terms of, really making it work for us to the camera and everything.
Yeah, and these two together actually just have a great little chemistry.
They do. I mean, they both, have a little bit of moxie in them, and they clicked.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how Jamie turns.
Yeah, I love his expression here. Yeah, that was important to get that very right.
Because that's him politely turning her down.
Yes, and you know what? And it tells you a lot about Sam.
Yeah.
Because in that scene with her and in that moment, he did not want to be insulting to her.
Yes.
Even though she was flirting with him, he wanted to be a gentleman and he wanted to be kind to her. And that was Sam. Sam really wanted to have that tone be right. And Jamie is frugal, as we know. So this was that really burned him up.
Yeah.
And I love the thing here of the flame with the bellows, and, and having the flame illuminate his face like that.
That was really, and it works, which is great.
Yeah, it actually worked. Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah.
And then here, Duncan, how great is Duncan here?
Listen, what's so great about this is he knows him as soon as he hears
his voice.
Yeah.
He knows that voice.
Yeah.
But it's almost like is he dreaming? Is this a ghost? And I think Jamie's looking at him, thinking.
I think he's thinking the same thing. What's nice is
it
you
a
let
ghost?
it play.
Yeah.
Is there's a long
breath.
beat between. That's what's really nice.
The great thing about Outlander too, is that you allow things to breathe in this show. You allow things to play, and moments to play out. And it's such a pleasure to not have everything be quick cutting,
It's definitely part of the style of the shows that once again, even when I say the small things add up to the big things, to me this is a big moment, but the looks are the small things.
Yes,
and
letting them look at each other and see the eyes. Yeah. Look at Sam there.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that face. And look at the love in Duncan's face.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's just such a heartwarming moment. And even young Ian gets it.
Yes. He's a little confused.
He's confused.
But he knows
like,
something
what's going
big
on?
is happening. Yeah. Yeah, Sam is so good, you know.
Really is.
And the importance of this relationship, and I think you guys were so smart to bring Murtagh back. And I was happy to see that so many people, liked it and liked the idea of him coming back, because this relationship is so, so important, that the love that they have for each other, what they've been through, that only they understand.
Yeah.
it's such a big deal.
Well, that's one of the things that you run across, in the books. I mean, Claire's internal. She tells internal thoughts. So it's her talking to herself. And when we first decided to bring Murtaugh back, is this gives both Jamie and Claire someone to talk to.
Yes.
And you need that
You do.
need
In a show, you need that.
Yes,
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than constantly having the voiceover.
Yes.
That is great in times, but you can't constantly have it.
Right.
And
he's
who
really,
better than who better?
a father figure. He's a father figure to both of them, and that they need that person.
Yep.
I mean, the tragedy of this, Katrina and I talked about it a lot, because to me, this show in one aspect was about motherhood. In the beginning, they both talk about Brianna, and you see, the pain that Claire has of missing and yearning for her daughter. And then she goes and delivers a daughter to a daughter.
And remembering probably the moments
Yes.
when she gave birth.
Exactly.
To her.
That's
Yes.
what we talked about. Remembering when she gave birth to her daughter, as you say. And then to hear that both the baby and the mother are gone. I mean, the huge, tragedy of that is just incredible.
So yeah, Claire's feeling it on two levels. She's feeling it as a doctor, as a healer, but also as a mother. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So
Now
this
that's
is-
a moment that shows Claire's strength.
Yeah.
This
This is my home.
Yes, this is my home. I will take care of myself until my husband gets home, and we'll take care of, he'll take care of me. We'll take care of each other. She's tough. She is tough.
But also in the sense of, hey, look, I spent my whole life coming to this spot. The spot,
I'm not leaving.
And that's why that scene in the beginning is so important, with them taking care and fixing breakfast and doing all this stuff in their home.
Right.
It's
exactly.
the first time someone says you got to leave. She's like, no way.
No way. Right. I love how she's so adept here which is not an easy thing to do, to load one of those old guns, she's getting ready to defend herself.
Yeah, I think she, there's clean Rolo again.
It's perfectly clean paws.
I love this scene. It's one of those scenes where, on the page, it doesn't necessarily jump out at you and go, oh, this is going to be, but the way you filmed it and what all the actors brought to it is, there's just something so nice about it. And just to getting to know one another over a beer, you know what I mean? It's just such a...
It's that, that comfort that you have when you're sitting with an old friend that knows everything about you, and you know everything about them, and catching up, and it's a lonely life for them. They're not surrounded by friends and family.
Right.
They only have each other. So, to sit down with Murtaugh is, a big thing for Jamie.
And then, when we come into it, you kind of go, oh, okay, I get that they've caught, I get that they've talked as much as they could in front of Ian.
Right. That's why, Jamie wisely gets rid of Ian very quickly, so he can tell him the good stuff.
Yeah. And I like this little moment where he's like, it's a surprise for his wife, so married again.
Yeah.
I like the way Sam did that.
Yeah.
Well. And then he remembers, wait, he has no money.
He gave it all to Murtaugh.
I love that. Yeah, this is really special.
Oh, don't you love how he says that?
Yeah.
And I love Duncan's reaction there.
It's like Ian got out of earshot and then they could be themselves.
Yes,
and that's what I
yeah.
like about the scene.
And I like this two shot here because you really see, how close they are,
Yeah.
and you see, you see that Murtaugh loves Claire a lot. He
Yeah.
loves her too.
Yeah. But I just love the fact that as soon as Ian got out of the earshot, they became almost like boys.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. And this is such a nice. Sam and I talked about this a lot. This is really a nice setup for what's to come with Brianna, because you see that even though Jamie's never met her or seen her, he's the proud papa.
yeah.
He's proud that she's in university, and
And he doesn't know he'll never meet her.
yeah.
And Murtaugh will never meet her, but he can still be a proud
He's
father.
still a proud father. Yeah.
And I love that his heart swells just at her very name.
Right. And just marveling at what her life could be,
Yeah.
what in the in the year that she's living, and that's his daughter living that life.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is now the turn in the scene, of course, is Jamie's going to find out that it's not so simple. Just having your godfather back in his life is not quite so simple.
Right. And the great thing that you guys came up with of having, Murtaugh be a leader and and be resisting this, it's so consistent with his character.
Yeah.
And it makes total sense for him, and if he, it's probably what he really would have done if if it had happened. But I think it you totally believe it coming from Murtaugh.
Yeah. And
He's
then-
a fighter, Murtaugh.
yeah. And I think what's kind of crazy about it is Jamie would probably be right there by his side if he didn't.
He
hadn't signed this deed
thing.
and
He's
now been
yeah,
responsible
yeah.
for all this land.
And Jamie has such integrity, and as we, he's usually on the right side of things, and as he's slowly learning the truth of this complicated situation, it's interesting to watch him navigate it.
Yeah. Well, it's always, you always look for situations. There's certainly, since Murtaugh, in the book, he's not there, but for us, giving Jamie and a dilemma.
Right.
Is the key is, this is a very difficult decision. If it was
Yep.
easy, it wouldn't be a story.
Right. This is Claire's badass moment.
Yeah.
Sitting with her gun, eating beef jerky,
Eating beef
guarding
jerky,
her
yeah.
house.
And then we talked about this is kind of wrote a passionate speech for
Yeah, it's a great
Murtaugh.
speech. Yeah.
And these when we go through prep, a lot of times the scripts are works in progress. They're not just
Written in stone.
written
No,
in
yeah.
stone. So we needed this big moment, and we wanted Murtaugh to be kind of this leader of men, and Jamie has to recognize, wow, look what's happened
Yep.
over the course of.
It's a great scene. It's and it just brought home to me that history is made by small groups of people in these rooms.
Yep.
That's where it starts. That's where history is made.
This is
And-
where the world changes
yes,
right here.
and to see these kind of men put their lives on the line, to see how they're led by an extraordinary man like Murtaugh, it just it felt very exciting to me.
And I like the turn in the scene where he starts off, subverts expectations. He goes, he's like, hey, everything's
Right, that
goes
was
to go-
very well
yeah,
written.
yeah.
Yeah. And they're kind of going, "What's he talking
yeah.
about?"
What's he
And
talking?
then
Wait, hold
they
on.
go-
And then he
yeah.
flips it on him. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is the moment where Jamie realized all the people that Tryon's been talking about are standing in this room right now.
And there,
And that-
a lot of them are his. Could be him.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
they're-
his loved one is leading them.
Yep. Yeah. And you see the old Murtaugh here.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that scares Jamie. If Jamie saw some other guy leading the regulators, he might go, all right,
Right.
no big deal.
But he has such respect for Murtaugh.
And he knows what he can do.
Yes.
So that makes it even worse.
That's right. Yeah.
Because Murtaugh's heard this in a way, this speech back in season 2 when Jamie was
Right.
training his men. And,
Yep.
he gives his speech of we can fight together.
We can fight together. We can, yeah.
Yep.
It's a
It harkens
wonderful
back to that.
echo of what their personal history is, you
Yeah.
know. But this time, Jamie can't be a part of it.
Yeah.
And this is, this was a very emotional moment because, Murtaugh can't really ask. He knows he can't ask Jamie to join him.
Yeah.
Jamie can't ask Murtaugh to stop.
Yeah. That's crazy.
He's
It's just-
trying.
yeah. I think they're taking a measure of them.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
Are you still the same person? Are you still the same person?
I thought that Murtaugh was doing it, and he knew Jamie would say no, but he had to say it.
Yeah.
But he lets it go, He
Yeah.
doesn't push it.
There's always, when we do questions like this on Outlander, for me, it's always that moment where, like, when Frank says to Claire, could you have forgotten him in time? There's a hope that she's going to
Yes,
say
there's a
yes.
hope, yeah. But
And-
even though you think maybe it's probably going to
And
be
I
no.
think that's what he says
Yeah,
to him.
yeah.
Hey, this is, is there a chance you want to be a regulator?
right.
And he hopes Jamie will say, yes, I'll give up
Yeah.
my land. I'll do it.
But he's not surprised.
Yeah.
And when Jamie says, "I gave my word," he knows Jamie.
Yeah. But he
Once
also,
Jamie says
in a way, he gave his word to Tryon, but in another way, he gave his word to Claire. This is going to be our
Yes,
home.
he did, and he says that,
And
yeah.
he does, and
And
that's
that's
what I
even
love
more
about him.
important to
Yep.
him. Absolutely.
And this was another really important scene. We talked tonally about how he comes in that door.
Yes, it's a big surprise. We think he wants to kill her, as she's been warned by the pastor, and he's actually concerned about her.
Yeah.
It was a very difficult role for the actor to play and to direct because, he's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, this is a man who has lost his, the tragedy to him is equal or greater than it was for Claire. He's lost his daughter and grandchild. That would make anyone crazy.
Yeah. And this was, we almost needed him to be disarming. He disarms her with his compassion and
Right.
his concern.
And then, it shifts gears.
Yeah.
And we see what that kind of rigid thinking, ignorant thinking, especially when it's combined with, with pain and hardship, what that can do to you, as we see how he has this completely irrational, blame that the Indians cast a spell.
Right.
But we see how people can grab onto these kind of beliefs.
Need to justify
Right.
something. This isn't my fault. This could never be my fault. I didn't bring the measles from Cross Creek. That wasn't
Right.
me.
It's not my fault.
not
It's
my
the
fault.
other. It's the people
Exactly.
who are different from me.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I think you see what happens when you diminish other human beings to being less than.
Yeah.
To him, they are not human. They're less than. They're different. And, he doesn't, it allows him to hate them to that degree, which is where so much, pain comes from.
And the cloth, which is the exact same cloth.
Yes, the same cloth as
Yeah.
the doll. So
Yeah.
she thinks he's giving her this doll as a
Yeah.
memento of
Well,
his
and that
daughter.
was we did made the decision to subvert Claire's
Right.
response to the scout.
Right.
Yep.
And then we see that it's Ottaway's knife cover and her scalp.
Yes. And then the horror sets in for Claire is that it's everybody, you know, it's everybody that a witch.
And carrying the mother theme through, I felt like Ottaway was a mother figure
Yes.
to Claire.
Yeah.
Claire doesn't have any mentors or any mother figure. So she, to meet another healer, to meet a wise woman, a motherly woman like that was a very big deal for her.
Who also had insights about Claire, like mothers do. Mothers, I
Yes.
know I walk in the door visiting my mom and she could go, "Oh, hey, what's wrong?" And I
Yeah,
go,
she
"What?"
just
She
knows,
just
yeah.
knows,
Yeah,
Or-
he saw Claire instantly and
Yeah.
understood her, and they had very quickly a very deep bond. So to see that scalp was just horrific for
Yeah.
Claire. And as an actor, Katrina is just astonishing. The availability that she has to her emotions that are so real and not, manufactured, not sentimental or melodramatic. She's just so in touch, with the truth of her emotions. This is maybe my favorite scene in the show. And I'm so grateful that you guys kind of let it play, and the music is so beautiful. The reverence, she's basically burying Ottaway here in a ritualistic and respectful way, since Ottaway was treated with such disrespect.
Yeah.
So to give her this respect and show her love in this way, I found it so moving to shoot this. And they to cremate and burn the body in the way that her people would have done.
Well, and also then to tie it into what's
coming
is,
to segue into this fire, which I have to give Matt a lot of credit for shooting all the second unit footage while I was back in California.
we had
all these shots look just spectacular.
Yeah, we had multiple teams working on multiple things. So, our production is, the thought that goes into all these things is.
Oh yeah,
is
this
so
was
amazing.
shot months later.
Yeah.
It was not safe to shoot a fire, obviously, in the woods where we had the cabin. So Matt shot it on the back lot at the end of production, and we did some of a lot of the pieces here on location of Mueller riding up and a stunt woman on the ground. But, the truth of how difficult these people's lives were, is it's hard to imagine. I think it's one of the great things about the show is to bring it home of, how tough and brave and courageous these people were to create a life out of nothing, in the middle of nowhere,
And this is what we've been talking about is, when you carve a home out of nothing, and then you want to protect it at all costs.
Yes, you understand that, yeah.
But with also the Cherokee Indians is that this was their ancestral home, that they've been there for thousands of years. So they, even if they made a treaty with the British to give up some of their lands, this is still their lands, and
right.
The agreements were made, and you
a
can't
lot of them
just,
were misled about the agreements.
exactly.
And,
So you can't just go and take law into your own hands because you don't respect them as a people.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of the conflict, comes. I think we talked a lot about this. Is how
Oh yeah.
how we get them in the door.
Yep. Where do they meet up? I wanted one of, your great romantic moments where they run towards each other, and he runs up and grabs her, and
Right.
I just love that moment right there.
Yeah.
And their faces, like, all she wants is to feel his arms around her. He doesn't have to say anything. They don't have to talk. She just wants his arms
What I like
around her.
about it is he read her look,
Yes.
20 yards out, and
That's
he ran
exactly
to her.
right. That's what as you were saying about your mom, when you're in that kind of a relationship, you just take one look at someone's face and and he
Yeah.
saw her from a block away, and he knew she was in
And
trouble.
he had to get to her, and
Yes.
that was well done, well shot.
Yeah. Back to work for Claire.
Yeah, because the thing about this period is you don't take a break. You got to
No,
eat. You got to
it's
keep
constant.
warm. You have to,
Yeah.
got to feed yourself. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, just keeping those fires going.
this is
So great.
Such a
Where
great
she
moment.
hears Bugle Boy, which is
Yeah.
everyone knows
Yeah,
was her song, and she did her little dance.
They spent a couple months on the road together.
Yeah. The delight on her face is adorable.
Yeah.
And they have their own relationship,
Yeah.
their own very special relationship.
They spent quite a bit of time
Yes.
alone together, looking for Jamie, searching for Jamie,
Yeah.
but also, in multiple episodes they spent time together. So it's we wanted to give special, like you said earlier, special moments to everybody meeting Murtagh. The
Right.
audience got their their special introduction back, get him back, and then Jamie, and then Claire.
Right. Yeah,
That's a beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah. And this is kind of the coda on the episode, which is we don't usually do this, complete, hey, and then
Right,
and
right.
then this, and that was like that one scene with Roger was important
Right. Yeah, to kind of
to bridge it.
bridge
a little
it.
bit,
Yeah, it's a little bit of a bookend with
It
them.
is.
So,
We've always look we putting these all together is tough sometimes, So
it's a lot of story.
Yep.
A lot of story in Outlander.
yeah,
But, this is it's a really big turning point for the show,
yeah. So, and it's also, hey, here we go.
Yep.
Buckle up.
Launching. And, listen, she's Jamie and Claire's daughter. Not every young woman would have the courage to do this. And imagine how Roger feels, he's madly in love with her and he's lost her.
Yeah. Well, well done, Denise Denovi.
Oh,
Not
thank
only
you.
for episode 5, but episode 6, which I thought was fantastic as well.
Oh, thank you.
And
I loved every minute of it.
I'm going to go on record here, people. I'm going to say, anytime your schedule is free, you're welcome to come back and shoot more Outlanders.
Oh,
for
wow.
us,
Well,
okay?
nothing would
So
make me happier.
The
I'm going to
invitation
take
is
you up
open
on that.
invitation for that.
I am taking you up on that.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. That was Savages, episode 405. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll be around next week and the week after. So anyway, good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you so much.